The hexagonal assembly hall of the Interstellar Coalition fell into hushed silence. Representatives from 600 civilizations ceased their deliberations as Commander Vrax of the Krellian Dominion ascended to the central day. His crystalline exoskeleton refracted the overhead illumination into prismatic patterns across the chamber walls. We hereby declare territorial claim over the third planet orbiting the star designated Helios 7, Vrax announced, his voice resonating through translation matrices, the world these local inhabitants call Terra. Our expeditionary force departs within the solar cycle. Murmurs rippled through the younger delegations. The recently admitted Qualan observers exchanged confused glances. The photosynthetic verdants shifted their leaf-like appendages with interest. Yet the ancient civilizations remained eerily motionless, their attention fixed on the Krellian commander. Ambassador Lyran of the Celestian Commonwealth rose with deliberate slowness, her luminescent skin dimming to a troubled violet. "Commander Vrax, you cannot proceed with this action," she stated, her tone measured but firm. Vrax emitted a sound approximating laughter, harsh and metallic. "Cannot? Because your Commonwealth desires this resource-rich world for itself? These Terrans possess barely functional spacecraft. They propel themselves through vacuum using controlled chemical detonations, like primitive insects. You misunderstand the situation," Lyran replied, scanning the chamber. Ancient delegates from the Whisperwind Collective had sealed their sensory organs. The millennium-old architects were performing subtle negative gestures. "Explain this misunderstanding," Vrax demanded. "Our military has successfully integrated 32 star systems. We have never experienced strategic defeat. These Terrans have not achieved interplanetary expansion. They engage in conflicts using kinetic projectiles and combustible hydrocarbons." A young Qualan representative raised a tentacle. "If Terra presents no threat, why do restrictions exist regarding contact? I have encountered references to specialized protocol." The chamber's atmosphere grew denser with tension. Several ancient beings adjusted their positions uncomfortably. Others focused their attention downward. His species predated recorded history. Few recalled their actual designation. They were simply known as the originators. "Protocols exist," Xylan intoned, his voice like wind through ancient canyons. "Protocols established in the deep past." "Display these protocols," Vrax insisted. Xylan activated a holographic projection system. Three-dimensional legal documentation materialized, marked with crimson warning designations. The text utilized archaic script readable only by scholars of dead languages. "Terra operates under Isolation Directive 9. Xylan explained. "No contact, no interference. No approach within 75 light-years." Junior delegates leaned forward with renewed interest. The Qualan representative spoke first. "What circumstances require such extreme caution?" "Intelligence reports indicate these Terrans still employ atomic fission weapons and engage in intertribal warfare." "Precisely the reason," whispered a Whisperwind delegate, multiple auditory organs gradually opening. Vrax struck his platform forcefully. "Enough theatrical performances. You fear competition for Terran resources. These beings pose no credible threat. They lack directed energy armaments, defensive field generators, or faster-than-light communication infrastructure. They barely exceed Stone Age development." "You commit a profound error," Lyran stated, rising again with trembling hands. "An error of catastrophic proportions. We will extract their planetary resources and conscript their population for labor." An ancient being in the rear of the chamber produced a sound resembling mourning. "Ambassador Solvara of the Luminae, whose species had traversed space for 4 millennia, spoke in barely audible tone. I witnessed events. I was present during the Terran occurrence. Complete silence enveloped the chamber. Even atmospheric circulation seemed to pause. What occurrence? Demanded a junior delegate. The ancient beings refused elaboration. Xylan manipulated his control. Crimson security designations appeared over the holographic display. All records of the Terran occurrence remain classified under maximum security, Xylan announced. Access restricted to civilizations exceeding 1,000 years of spacefaring history. Rax's crystalline structure vibrated with irritation. You expect fear from legends and stories. The Krellian Dominion fears nothing in this galaxy. We attempted warnings for the Ravager Syndicate 4 centuries past. They refused to listen. What became of the Ravagers? The Qualan representative asked. Silence. Their dominion, their worlds, their civilization, all absent. Rax's exoskeleton shifted colors with anger. You claim these primitive Terrans destroyed an entire civilization. Absurd. The Terrans lack proper interstellar vessel. Believe as you choose, Lyran stated, lowering herself heavily into her seat. We have provided adequate warning. Your warnings possess no value. Rax declared. In 12 cycles, Terra belongs to the Krellian Dominion. We shall demonstrate how actual warriors conduct operation. He departed through the massive chamber doors, which sealed behind him with resonance like distant explosion. Through the panoramic observation port, he observed the yellow star, the Terran's designated soul. Around his vessel, 600 Krellian warships maintained precise formation patterns. It constituted the largest military deployment the Dominion had ever assembled. Captain Xyla consulted her instrumentation. We have achieved perimeter position at the Terran system edge, Admiral. Sensors indicate 9 planetary bodies. The 3rd planet constitutes their homeworld. No orbital platforms, no defensive grid, no military spacecraft in operational positions. The planet displays primitive technological signatures, radio frequency emissions, rudimentary power generation, artificial orbital objects that appear exclusively communicative in function. Distributed across 7 continental landmasses, Korzen produced sounds of amusement. 10 billion primitives without spatial defenses. This operation will establish new efficiency records for Dominion conquest. Admiral, we are receiving transmission from the Terran world, unidentified vessels. This is Terran Defense Coordination. We request peaceful interaction protocols. Please communicate your intention. The command crew produced sounds of derision. These Terrans exceeded even their lowest expectations for weakness. You will submit immediately to Dominion authority. You possess 2 standard hours, Korzen stated. Following that deadline, we commence destruction of your primary population centers. Meanwhile, in Coalition emergency facilities, continuous sessions proceeded around chronological cycles. Massive crystalline displays showed Krellian fleet positions. Every member delegation observed with escalating apprehension. They maintain position at system periphery, reported the Qualan observer. They appear to be waiting to prepare, Lyran whispered. Supreme Coordinator Rezan activated emergency communication protocols. All Coalition fleets ordered to establish fallback positions at secondary defensive perimeter. Minimum safe distance now established at 300 light-years from Terra. 300 light-years? Young delegates expressed shock. That would require significant travel duration. What justifies such extreme distance? In the Sol system, Admiral Korzen experienced growing impatience. How much deliberation time can primitives require? Their technology barely exceeds metalworking. They appear to have contacted every governmental structure on their planet. All of them? How many governmental entities can one primitive world possess? They instruct their populations to prepare for conflict. Korzen's structure resonated with amusement. Conflict? What actions can they possibly execute against our fleet? Even the Coalition demonstrates fear of these Terrans. The Coalition comprises ancient cowards, Korzen stated. They have become soft from excessive periods of peace. We shall demonstrate proper handling of primitive. Admiral, the 2-hour deadline has passed. The Terrans are responding. Korzen demanded. Our response is negative. Korzen's optical organs narrowed. Then your population faces termination. For a moment the command deck maintained silence. Then Korzen vocalized rage. Prepare demonstration strike, he ordered. Target that uninhabited island in their western ocean. We shall illustrate the consequences of defying the Dominion. 4 heavy plasma projectiles launched from the Nexus breaker toward Terra. They illuminated the darkness of space as they traveled toward the small azure planet. On Coalition observation screens, beings from across the galaxy observed with growing horror. It commences, Solvara whispered. The plasma projectiles reached Terran atmosphere and descended toward their target. However, just before impact, unexpected phenomena occurred. The island illuminated with defensive fire. Energy beams projected upward from the surface. Not the primitive laser technology they anticipated, but advanced particle weaponry, the type restricted by Coalition treaty. Impossible. Korzen breathed. Admiral, his weapons coordinator reported. The island was not uninhabited. It appears to be a military installation. However, our sensors detected nothing. Korzen stared at the tactical display. The island now appeared fully visible on sensors. It was covered in weapon platforms and shield generators, technology these primitive Terrans should not possess. How many more installations of this type exist? He asked. If they can conceal one, they can conceal others. They are materializing on tactical displays. Red indicators began appearing on sensors. First dozens, then hundreds, then thousands. They materialized around asteroids, behind moons, even in regions where sensors had previously shown nothing. They have been here all along. His intelligence coordinator frantically consulted data. Admiral, all our information about Terran technological capabilities appears erroneous. Some of these vessels appear older than our own designs. Admiral Korzen stared at the tactical display. What should have been an effortless conquest was becoming something entirely different. Admiral, his communications officer said quietly, we are receiving another transmission from the Terrans. What do you want? Korzen asked. Surrender immediately, or face consequences. Korzen terminated the transmission and faced his fleet commanders. All vessels, attack formation, prepare for engagement. We shall demonstrate to these primitives the power of the Krellian Dominion. In the Coalition chambers, the observers watched as both fleets began moving toward each other. The engagement that followed would be studied by military academies across the galaxy for centuries, not because of its scale, but because of what it revealed about the nature of warfare itself. They employed tactics that defied doctrine, strategies that seemed suicidal, and weapons that ranged from sophisticated to primitive, sometimes simultaneously. Within hours, Admiral Korzen's mighty fleet was reduced to scattered survivors fleeing the system. Korzen sat in the ruins of his command deck, half his crew casualties, the other half attempting emergency repairs. Through the cracked observation port he could see Terra growing smaller behind them. The blue planet appeared peaceful now, almost serene. Admiral, Captain Zella said quietly, bandaged extensively but alive. We are receiving transmission from the Coalition. Admiral Korzen, your fleet is ordered to report immediately to Coalition Central Station for emergency debriefing. Behind the coordinator, Korzen could see other council members. All stared at him with expressions he had never encountered before. Fear, horror, and something resembling pity. Coordinator, I demand to know why the Coalition concealed the true nature of these Terrans. Zellen's voice was heavy with age and regret. The truth is that Terrans represent everything the galaxy has attempted to forget about itself. The transmission switched to a different location. Suddenly, Korzen was viewing a massive archive facility. Ancient holographic displays showed images and data from thousands of years past. This is the Galactic Historical Archive. A new voice said. Ambassador Salvara appeared. What you are about to observe is the actual reason for the isolation protocol. The first image showed a star map from 4 centuries past. Hundreds of civilizations were marked in various colors. Red markers indicated aggressive military powers. Blue showed peaceful trading federations. Green marked scientific collectives. This was our galaxy before the Terran occurrence. Salvar explained. Observe carefully this region. She indicated a space sector near Terra, marked with dozens of red symbols. They controlled over 60 star systems and billions of beings. They were the most feared military force in this galactic quadrant. What became of them? Korzen asked. Though he was beginning to understand the answer, the display changed to show a small Terran spacecraft. It was primitive by galactic standards, barely capable of faster-than-light travel. This was the TSS Discovery, Salvara said. 42 crew members on a peaceful exploration mission. Humanity's first contact with an alien species, the Ravagers. But something went wrong, Salvara continued. The Terrans did not surrender. They did not plead for mercy. Instead, they fought back. New images appeared. They showed the interior of the damaged Terran ship. The crew had dismantled their own vessel, converting every component into a weapon. They used life support systems to create explosives. They converted navigation computers into guidance systems for missiles made from structural debris. They even used their own bodies as weapons when nothing else remained. Korzen stared at the images with growing horror. When we arrived to investigate the distress signals, we found all of them destroyed or disabled. The Terrans had somehow converted their single damaged ship into a weapon that could defeat an entire armada. Because Terrans think differently than we do, said another voice. Supreme Coordinator Zelen appeared on the screen again. When we are threatened, we seek escape or negotiation. When Terrans are threatened, they seek victory at any cost. But surely one vessel could not defeat an empire. You are correct, Zelen said. One vessel could not. But what happened next changed everything. The surviving Ravager vessels returned to their home worlds and informed their leadership about the Terrans. Salvar explained. They described beings who fought with primitive weapons but refused to die, who converted their own bodies into weapons, who laughed as they destroyed superior forces. We mean exactly what we said, Salvar replied. The entire Ravager military disappeared. We found the wreckage scattered across 150 light-years of space, and at the center of it all was Terra, completely untouched. That is impossible. The Terrans had somehow defeated a force 10 times larger than anything they should have been able to handle. Cities covering the continents, space elevators reaching orbit, massive industrial complexes on the lunar surface. For the day when someone else would attempt to take their world, the Terrans have spent 4 centuries studying every military threat they might encounter. They know our vessels, our weapons, our tactics. They know them better than we do, because they have been observing us. We attempted, Salvara said sadly, but Commander Vrex would not listen. He believed we were attempting to keep the Terrans for ourselves. Coalition law prohibits interference with member species' military decisions. However, we prepared for the consequences. This is the new isolation line, Zelen explained. 300 light-years from Terra. No vessel is permitted to cross it without Terran authorization. The transmission was interrupted by a new voice. It originated from Terra. This is Terran Defense Coordination. We are transmitting a message to the Interstellar Coalition. We are listening. However, the voice continued, and there was iron in it now. If anyone else attacks our world or threatens our people, the response will be immediate and total. This is our only warning. For a long moment, the command deck of the Nexus Breaker maintained silence. Now, Supreme Coordinator Zelen replied. The galaxy learns to coexist with the knowledge that somewhere in the darkness, there exists a species that fights not for conquest or glory, but for survival, and that makes them the most dangerous force in the universe. The transmission ended, leaving Korzen alone with his thoughts and his shattered fleet.
Behind them, Terra continued its slow rotation, appearing peaceful and innocent, but now he knew the truth. It was not a world to be conquered, and the galaxy would remember that lesson for a very long time.